for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We are going to have an Outliers Edge roundtable conversation with none other than the amazing outlier, Lindsey Wander. Lindsey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for creating the time for this. And actually, thanks for creating the experience of life that allowed us to find each other and actually be here on behalf of Outliers. Appreciate having you here.
You're welcome. That's a big thank you, but you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. No, this is it feels right. That feels oriented for me. Lindsey, we've been talking here, and I want to make sure that outliers get a chance to get to know you as well. Would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
So I am Lindsey Wander, as you mentioned. I definitely live up to my name. I am currently in Brazil. I've been here a few days. I was in Mexico before that, so I am what we call a digital nomad in modern language, but I think I've always been a little bit of a nomad. I am also the founder and CEO of Worldwise Tutoring, which I started. We just had our 14-year anniversary yesterday.
Nicely done.
Unofficially, there was hiccups in the beginning, but when did I first start the idea and actually register was 14 years ago. And then I am also the founder and president of the nonprofit, the 501c3 called Educate, Radiate, Elevate. We call it ERE for short. So I am a busy, busy woman.
Yes, I'm imagining that here. Um, just really, just like I want to say congratulations. That's what's coming to the top of my mind, but I really want to say
Yeah.
well created of 14 years of business here. I don't take that lightly. I think beforehand, before getting into business myself, I didn't realize what it took to continue playing the game.
Yeah.
So I really want to acknowledge you on that. Let me ask you here, just so we can just start off with this whole conversation with something here. Since you're just coming on the 14-year anniversary of starting this thing here, what is like, what would you say is like one of the bigger lessons that you learned for yourself as a result of like over the last 14 years? I'm sure you've had quite a few. But
So many.
yeah.
Number one, whenever anyone starts a business, one of the first things I say is do not take it personally. It's very hard to separate yourself from your business. It is you, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's everything. And businesses have ups and downs, there's ebbs and flows. And it's very easy to beat yourself up when there is a low. I very quickly had to learn not to do that and instead see that as an opportunity to explore, to reinvent, to learn and grow, rather than think, oh, I'm failing. What am I doing wrong? I'm embarrassment, all the negative talk that comes with it. Just don't take it personally. And honestly, even the ups, ride those ups, but like you still got to be safe and say, okay, I know there's a fall potentially coming, a little dip. So I just have to, see what got me here. Why are things really going well? And how can I keep that going as long as possible?
Yeah, there's some element when you say how do I keep that going as long as possible, where I sometimes think about it like as gliding. It's like, okay, like things are working. How do we continue to elongate it? I'm in a period right now where I went back and I have a very simple way that I run my business, but I went back and I looked at like my stats over the last few years and I was like, oh, like I don't have good feedback loops. I can take actions, but if I'm not like seeing the how things are evolving or moving along the way, like I'm acting without learning. And learning is the thing that makes the difference here. Learning is the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Constantly. I mean, what I did 14 years ago absolutely does not work exactly today. Yes, there's some components, right? But if I didn't learn and grow and innovate and evolve along the way, I wouldn't be here 14 years later.
This is spoken like a true outlier. Like this is it. This is why we come here to see like, all right, how have you continued to grow along your path? What keeps you on your edge? And we'll talk about two different things. The outlier side comes out to like how you're thinking, like who you are being, and what's the thing that like Lindsey Wander brings to the world that no one else can. Like we're gonna be really playing with that today. But then there's also the element of like your edge in terms of what keeps you going, what like what's new for you, and the edge of like what makes you do like what's your I don't know the thing that it's like your advantage, your outlier advantage is what we call
Yeah.
it out here, and so we're going to be wanting to to see and play with that as it goes along. Let's start off here, Lindsay. So as we start off with a celebration of the 14 years. All right. Now let's look at this and be like, all right, the next 14 years that are coming here. So looking ahead, really. I would love to hear. Maybe you can share with us, Outliers, like what's a project, what's something you're taking on right now that that lights you up, that lights your soul up, and if you're really good with it, that might also give you sweaty palms where you're like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but like this is what I'm being called to do right now. Do you mind sharing something like that with us?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think I'm definitely more of a social entrepreneur. And while obviously livelihood is the end game, having clients that pay me to be able to live
Hmm.
is the end game. My goal has always been, how can I take this amazing thing I've created and get it to more people? And so I'm always looking for, avenues to spread the resources and the knowledge and, everything that I have set up that has been tried and tested and actually works. How do I get it out there more? And I think a lot has changed, especially in the last 6 years. In terms of what people are looking for, what businesses are looking for, and so for me, it's. I was literally just having this thought this morning. What did I do last year, and what are people looking for now, especially in the name of building partnerships? So I am very much about holistic services and partnering with others who are maybe in the same space but in a different capacity, and trying to think more about how can we work together to level each other up, but also to expand what we're doing. And so that is something I'm constantly trying to evaluate. I'm not sure if I'm at sweaty palms yet, because I'm still in the formulative stages of reflecting on what I've done before, collecting information about what are people looking for now, and then starting to I think it's more excitement of, okay, what am I going to do this year? But the sweaty palms, I'm sure, will come once we actually start implementing it. uh, but it can't hurt. None of this
Yeah.
can hurt. It's always worth. I'm very much a science mindset where I'm like, there's only one way to find out. Let's just give it a
Mm.
try.
I feel that. I feel this element of like we're gonna do it. We're gonna see the results of this, and then like we're gonna continue to see uh almost. I can get very sciencey on it, so I'm not gonna go there. Outliers, I'll spare you on that one, but I feel the approach. Like it's something I talked earlier about, like not learning, and one of the things that I really realized, I'm like, oh, there's actually an approach to learning, like choosing
Yeah.
what to focus on, choosing what experiments to do. I was even talking to one of my teammates. I'm like, we have time, we can reach out, we can do all these things, but
Yeah.
during that time, like that's the only experiment we get to do. Like like if we're making a bet, and if this bet doesn't work out, we have to wait to change it until later
Mhm.
on. So just hearing some of like how you're being really discerning around the projects, and making sure that you're approaching it with the knowledge and the integrity. I hear that, Lindsay, and like I would wish you the best with this.
Thank you. And I would just add to that something that I learned, honestly, maybe like 6, 7 years ago, is that even though I've been in this field for so long and I think I know, I don't always
Mm,
know. And so I have learned that in the collection of information phase, or the generation of ideas phase, a lot of that is reliant on external. I need to look outside of myself and my experiences. Sometimes that's going straight to the potential clients or partners. Sometimes that's evaluating past trends and kind of seeing what future trends are. Sometimes it's having conversations like this where it's like melding of minds. But I don't have all the information. And even when I think I do, I've been very surprised sometimes, like, oh, they're definitely looking for this. But then when I go to ask, they're looking for something different, my
mm.
clients or partners. So I think a big part of this phase is also exploring outside of myself, to collect the information.
There's something here. You talk about like partners. I'm thinking about various outliers that have talked to me about partnership. But I think that when you talk about partners, it feels more than just like finding a collaborator on something, right? It
Yeah.
feels like something that's a deeper relationship. So I know that you're still in the process of figuring out like what that will look like going forward. But would you mind sharing with us like a partnership that you've had in the past or something that like,
Yeah.
and who knows, maybe there's another person out there that's like, Lindsay, you got it. That's what a partnership means to me.
Mhm.
Like let's go here. Would you mind sharing with us something that you felt like worked so well?
Yeah, because I think it's unconventional. I
Mm,
feel like, and especially in the United States, and I see this having traveled the world,
mm,
we are a little competitive by nature, and a little bit of the mentality of if someone else has it, then that I don't.
mm,
Essentially, I actually completely reject that. I think that I go after people who are quote unquote competitors sometimes. Literally, people who are in the same space as me and have conversations with them. And the first, they're kind of like, "What? I've heard of you. I don't want it." And I'm like, "Well, hold on, let's talk." Because then through conversation, we realize, well, wait a minute. Yes, we're right in this niche, but we're still in slightly different spaces.
mm,
And there are still opportunities for us to work together in a way that best serves our clients and our community. And so just being open to that conversation with people who maybe at first you'd say, no, I want to squash them. Like, no way am I going to uplift them. I think we need to shift our mindset a little bit from the sense of lack of like, just because someone else is being lifted doesn't have any, it's not going to hinder me. Why don't we rise up together?
mm,
So yeah, I go after, as a tutoring company, I go after other tutoring companies who are literally serving the same clients. And I say, let's have a conversation, not just a pitch of like, let's do this, but let's talk and find where our spaces are and see if we can somehow work together. Those have been some of my best partners, honestly. Um, and I'm happy to help others in a similar space. And I obviously will accept their help too.
there's something really in there. I'm getting goosebumps just so you know, Lindsay. Yeah, you can't see it, but like it's what I'm loving about this is I think one of the premises of Outliers is like a new way of leadership, right? And to me the I'm like the average person, the person who's playing it safe, the person who's doing this at like what the status quo normally does, like they might get us to a better way, but they're not going to get us to somewhere new. They're not going to get us any place like fresh. And when I hear you talk about this with not just partnerships, but like what I'm hearing underneath this is like we are all here trying to serve this group of people and like rather than us being our own individual silos kind of like working against each other here which doesn't necessarily help them, like what if we just like open the doors and found the places where we can all grow at like all ships will rise, right? And that to me is it feels like a novel idea to like go to your competitors and be like, so like can we find a way to make something awesome come together? Um, I like can I just say that's what's giving me goosebumps here because it's not just that you're doing business better, but you're doing business in a way that feels like very aligned to you. And
Yeah.
also just like it takes the conventional wisdom, like you said, it's unconventional. But it takes the conventional wisdom and says, but it doesn't need to be that way. Like we might have to work harder. Like I might have to like come up with something more bespoke. That's fine, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. What are your thoughts on that? Like I'm taking this in real time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just have to always come back to what is my intent of starting this business. And like I said, yes, it's livelihood, but it is also to serve my community.
Mm,
And I just feel like in that type of partnership and collaboration, I am better serving the customers, the clients, the community in a sense. It is a more 360 holistic, almost one stop shop kind of service in a
yeah.
way. And it just simplifies the process for everybody. And that is the goal for me. I do want to improve the world however I can in my social entrepreneurship way. I do want to leave here having made things better.
No, I feel you on that. I feel you, and just Liz, you're getting me to think a little bit about like, oh, where are the places where I thought I had to go in a completely different direction, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like, this is what I love. These are the people I want to share with. Like I want to help. Like, how can we better serve? How can we create a more complete solution? That's what I feel like I'm hearing from you here, and that's something that, Outliers. I'm gonna invite you to think about here. If any ideas come to you, if any ideas come to you, or any questions you want to like bring into this conversation, go ahead and put it into the chat. We'll read it out loud. We'll get Lindsay's thoughts on it, and we'll continue on from there. But this element of leveraging that partnership. Now I got to ask you then along this way, right? So I'm hearing what you're saying, and it sounds really good. Like I'm on board. I'm like, oh, Lindsay does it differently. Um, you talked about though, like the your competitors coming to be like, what's going on here, right? Because it's so unconventional, because it's so different. I'd be curious to see like how do you navigate like walking into the space or like reaching out and from this place of making a proposal that most other people would never make.
Don't beat around the bush. Be like, yo, I know we're competitors. Like, I
Mm,
know we are, but like, hear me out. Let's talk about this. I think there's potential here. I think transparency is key, from the very beginning of, look, I know what you're trying to do. I know what I'm trying to do. I'm not hindering you. I hope you're not hindering me. How can we work together on this? Let's talk.
mm,
There have even been some cases where I've had a conversation and kind of like, as soon as I get on, the camera or on the phone, they go, wait, I know you. I've heard of you. Hold on. And then they're kind of like, you can almost see it in their body language or hear it in their voice where they're like, oh, I didn't mean to get on a call with you. Like, we're competitors here. So even that's kind of my signal of, okay, but wait a minute. You know, First of all, I'm flattered, thank you for that. You've heard of me. I'm happy about that. I'm reaching out to you for a similar reason. I've heard of you.
mm,
And I think there's something that can be done here that can really help each other. Just being really transparent from the beginning, even laying out the terms, not even beating around the bush. We sit there right now and we talk money and we talk percentages and we lay it all out. Like, I don't want to leave anything vague or on the table, like, let's discuss it until a point where we both feel comfortable moving forward.
mm. When you talk about this transparency, and right as soon as you said like, "Hey, I know I'm a competitor," I'm like, "Oh, I get it." Like my nervous system gets to relax, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that like I trust you. I think that's what happens there. Like it.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. Do you want to say something on it? You've experienced it. I'm letting you know my experience of you. But like you, if there's something that shows up, let me know if I'm seeing something. But like I definitely got that feel of like, yeah, like, oh, I don't know what's coming next, but I know that there's honesty, and I think that's also different than just like transparency. Like I feel like you're honest about it. You're calling a spade. Um, and what's that last bit around like talking the numbers, like being willing to go into like saying like let's make sure we're leaving here with something that works for both of us explicitly, not just like in the vagueness of it will all work out. There's another level of, I'm gonna say, leadership that comes in. Like there's a fullness in there. Uh, Let me know, Lindsay, like, because this is exciting to me because it's how you're doing this that I think like there's one thing about the novelty of the idea, but then there's another thing that goes and says like, ah, like what's underneath this that's making that able to be so successful. Any thoughts on that? Anything you want to put into there? Hey, Lindsay, welcome back. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Sorry, I
Okay.
just switched my Wi-Fi because it was chopping up and we are now good.
Okay.
I heard your beginning of your last question. Do you mind
Okay.
restating
Yeah,
it?
no,
Sorry.
this is great because I gotta like reinforce the reinforce it here, right? So what's coming to me is it's not, it didn't feel like just transparency, right? It
Yeah.
felt like honesty. It felt like
Yes.
authenticity. It felt like hey, like let's talk the numbers. Like we're not gonna leave here unless we're both feeling good about this
Yes.
here. And I'm not like there's no reason for me to hide anything for us. Like we can make something work. And if we can't, well, we tried. And
Yeah.
that's fine too, right? But like we don't have to be against each other. Like there's the thing that came to me was leadership. As you're doing, it's like you chose to lead into a
Yeah.
new possibility, and you said like there's money we're both leaving here. There's service we're both leaving on the table. There's like And so like that invigorates me more than just the novelty of the idea. It's who you're being as a leader to make this actually come through. This is my experience of it, just like hearing what you're saying, like help me, like help orient me, help calibrate me. But like this is it's coming through really powerfully.
And I think that that word leader, we talk about this a lot. One of my goals I use when I'm working with students is to help them grow into what we call competent and conscious leaders.
Mm,
And so I am constantly evaluating myself as a leader. And even thinking in my training of my tutors, what is a leader? We think of a leader, as the top, the one with a bunch of people under. And that is not, as we have our conversations, that is not, in my mind, a very accurate depiction of a leader. You can be a leader in your house, you can be a leader in your classroom, you can be a leader of your own life. There's lots of areas where you can be a leader. And I think that the important part is really thinking about not just the competency of being a leader, but the consciousness. And a facet of the consciousness is this idea of partnership and uplifting and serving the community with my competency. Like, I've been in this
mm,
field for so long, I know I'm going to deliver a good service. I know what I do works. But how can I take it to the next level beyond just, it works? How can I make it bigger to really help others in their lives? And so there is a play on that word leader a little bit,
mhm.
and what we typically think the characteristics of a leader is. Um, and different times call for different things. I mean, there's times if I'm doing a training of a group of tutors, maybe I am a little bit more, the knowledge provider. I'm in a different role versus a collaborative effort with another partner who's kind of at the same, quote unquote level as I am of knowledge and expertise. And so I think it's different ways. But even when I'm providing training to my tutors, I do it in more of a roundtable format because I'm
Mm,
learning from them too as a leader. As a leader, I am learning from the people I'm leading. There's, I think there's just a lot of things we need to flip, and maybe expand that
mhm.
we have limited our definitions or our viewpoints of. And therefore, it limits us, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more overall with this year and the expansion of it. I would be remiss in saying that like as we're talking, I'm imagining what it's like to be someone who enters into your world, right? From like three different perspectives. So we started this off with partnership, right? And like, and then then you went and you said, let me just like scratch the table real quick here and like and bring in like I partner with my competitors, like we find awesome ways to do that. Then you brought in your tutors, right? And you're like, hey, look, the experiences that we have here, like what I hear from you is like you're going to make sure that the knowledge of how things get done, like is at the highest level and meets the standards, so that you can deliver really well for your clients. But like, there's another part of it where it's like, but we're going to grow. Like it's not just the knowledge information. It's you're growing as a leader. You're growing. So I'm imagining, if you don't mind, I'm imagining myself coming onto your team, like, and being able
Yes.
to be a tutor and be like, "Oh, this is different than, like, I'm just
I
coming
get
in
that
for
all the
time, all the"
time.
Yes? Yes?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
all the
I'm pulling up
time.
that.
I
Yeah.
hear people who have been in the education industry for 20, 30, 40 years, they do one training with me and they're like, I've never had anything like this. Thank
Mm,
you. I can use this in my career. I can use this at home. I can use it in my life. No, I hear it all the time. And I think that's why I actually, it's been really fun almost teaching the teachers in a
mhm,
sense,
mhm,
and learning from them constantly. What opened my eyes to that, I think, was being a teacher and actually being open to learning from my students. There's a lot I've learned from my students. My students are teaching me constantly. And that was, I think, my first experience of, even though I may be the holder of the knowledge or the experience, I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. And I need to be open to constantly learning. And learning from them makes me a better teacher and a better leader. and a better mentor and a better guide and a better coach and all the things, right? And then how can I get that to other people? Oops, is my internet going out again?
I can hear you perfectly. Everything's coming through clearly
Okay.
on my end.
And so a big part of that, I think, is just being open to learning in whatever avenue that comes in. But it's an unconventional way of doing things
Yeah.
for
Which is why
sure.
you're you're being successful with this, right?
Yeah,
I think that there's a like as I hear it, there's certain elements of this that are one easier said than done, right? And so
yeah,
so the fact that you're actually doing it says something. The second thing that's coming up is this component of like, oh, like Lindsay innovates. Like if you're gonna be like, and you've been saying this in different ways throughout, but
yeah,
like the two things I hear is like you innovate and like you work in partnership with like what's being asked for right now. Like so
yeah,
like I'm hearing you like you're getting information and like you're learning with your tutors. When it came to the partnerships, you're like, I know what I've done in the past, but like what's being asked for right now? Like I hear a very like you're very attuned to like what is actually happening in the present. And while you there's a an openness that both that both demonstrates your mastery. This is what I'm trying to say. It both demonstrates your mastery because like clearly we know you know you have to be good at what you're doing to be like in the position that you're in and be 14 years in and so on and so forth, right? So so that's there, but you still bring that beginner's mindset to it all where you're like I'm still here to learn
there you
and like
go.
this, this is not the
Hmm.
hierarchical element here. It's like it is your responsibility as a leader to make sure that your
Yes,
team is properly equipped, that they're educated to go out there in the world and deliver and be successful in their delivery, both as for themselves and for others. But like we are gonna this is a learning environment. Like learning is not
yes,
just what we deliver; it's who we are. It's who we be,
yes.
what we do. Sorry, I'm getting really excited when when I talk to you. Hopefully, I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything
Well,
that's
I
out
mean,
of
and learning
context.
is so cool, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, it is. It's if I want my students to enjoy learning, I need to enjoy learning. You know, if I want my teachers to enjoy teaching, I need to enjoy teaching.
Mm,
You know, like
mm,
I have to almost model for them by always learning, you know,
yeah.
in a
Yeah.
sense. And I think it's scary at first. I know when I became a teacher, there was a lot of paradigm shifts for me. I had a classroom, I used to be a classroom teacher, you know, of 45 kids. How do I individualize instruction for every single one of these 45 kids 5 times a day? How do I do this? And it is scary, that paradigm shift of I can do it. And you know what I learned right away was it was actually easier. I
Mm,
wasn't going against the current anymore. I was saying, look, this is the situation I'm in. These are the people I'm working with. How can I meet them where they're at in a fun and exciting way where they want to be here and I want to be here? And we're all learning in this really positive situation. What can I do to get there rather than trying to force it and going opposite, you know, of what it's already flowing in? And it's a little challenging in the beginning, but I think the challenge is the shift of the mindset and the opening up of that the way it's always been done may not be the way that it needs to continue to be done. Like maybe something should be done differently. And then once I put it into place, I was like, I can sit back. My classroom is running itself. I have no behavior issues. Everyone is passing their tests. Everyone's doing their assignments. You walk in here and it's talking, people are talking, but it's not like off task, you know, they're collaborative. This is easy. Like this
mm,
is easy now.
mm.
And so I think that was my first experience of be willing to think differently because it actually, after the challenge of setting it up
Yeah, okay.
and fighting against yourself almost, it's easier in the end.
Mm.
Now I'm flowing. Now I'm just going with it and it's easier. Does that make sense?
Oh, there's like my a full lower half of my body is just like radiating right now because you're just like you're speaking truth um and as you're saying this, I understand it from where you're saying it, but it also is
Yeah.
reinforcing something inside of me, right? Some elements that I felt like that I actually sat back as you were saying this year, because what I got was like the ease that comes from it, the flow,
Yes.
the element of like like you set up something, you put effort into setting up something
Yeah.
different, right? And I'm imagining because I have my own experience with like even just like live show and doing like all these conversations and bringing people in. Like right now it's us one on one, but like I bring in people in. There's like 4 to 6 people. They don't know each other. They don't know me. Like all that. I'm like, but this is my craft. This is how I am out in the world. And I for the longest I was doubting that. I mean, literally up until
Yeah.
like a week ago, I was like, and then I watched a video back. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is it.
Yeah.
Like we'll figure out. Like let's figure out how to make this
And
work from
if
here.
you
But let's
enjoy
just
it,
do it.
everyone's going to enjoy it, right? Like,
That's it.
and I think now I'm in this field, like I do. I love my job. I love what I do. And I want to inspire others to find that same love in what they do, my
Yes.
students, my staff, whatever it is. But it really does come down to if I love this,
Yes.
it's gonna be enjoyable for
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because there's a nuance in what you've been saying that I want to make sure I capture in Outliers. Like you're gonna have your own version of this. Like Lindsay, I love when you brought in like I teach and I want to like and so like I'm learn like we learn. So like we keep learning. Like there's a meta-ness to this here. There's like but what I also got was an integrity from it. You're like what you say and how you act and who you be. Like I think that's like all three of those things seem to align really quickly when I'm in space with you. And I think that's part goes back to like the transparency versus honesty versus authenticity. The authenticity is be thinking, acting like all those things are in alignment,
Yeah.
and it comes through really really clearly. So I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. Is there something you want
Yeah.
to say on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, how can I expect my students to learn if I'm not learning? So I get what you're saying. It's
Mhm,
almost like by being authentically, an active lifelong learner.
mhm,
I'm therefore showing that clearly, like, again, I've been in this, it's been almost 3 decades now that I've
mhm.
been doing this. You would think I know this field inside and out, and I do, but I know I don't know it all. And I know that I have a lot to learn. And I think that that's what's the most exciting about it, honestly. Otherwise, I'd be
Yeah.
bored if I knew it all. I love learning. I love growing. I love change. And I think that that's part of the school experience. That's part of the career experience. And I feel like it's going to happen. So why can't I just enjoy it? And I think that that could be the reason why I am successful with my students and my staff. I've had staff who've been with me those full 14 years.
Oh yeah.
They're,
Oh yeah. Oh
they're
yeah.
not going anywhere. And so I think that, yeah, the authenticity is a big part of it. I'm here with you. I'm doing it too, you know?
I feel it. I feel it. And it's like,
Mhm.
you there's a nuance that I think is also coming through, which is you've also found a way to do it your own outlier way. Like, and what like why I say that, like why that feels important is I feel like there's other people who are like, I want to teach, you know, or I I love learning, I want to teach, and they get in there and they accidentally constrict themselves to what the system or the status quo says that they need to be, and then like resentment comes, like the thing that they loved never really got a chance to flourish. And I'm making this up, but I'm applying this based on what I see all my clients in many different fields and outliers that I've seen that are like, oh, you're getting squeezed into this box every year when you're boxless. Like that's not how you play. So there's some element of this where I feel like you were courageous enough to do it differently. And once that
Mhm.
came in, the ease and like the ease went up, the effortlessness went up. You were getting all the same results, if not better,
Better,
yeah.
yeah.
And you were enjoying
I
yourself.
was enjoying it, and they were enjoying it,
Yeah.
and it was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I really want to say this here. And there's something there's two places we're about to start wrapping up the conversation. I'm like, but like there's two places I want to go. I want at least one of them I want to mention, the other one I want to go a little bit deeper in. So the thing I want to mention is that even as you talk about a 14-year journey, you talk about like, hey, in the last like 8 years, I figured out some of these things here. I'm in I guess like year 7 or 8 right now, and there's something that's really like inspiring to me in this conversation where I'm like, oh, I haven't even figured it out yet. Like I can't wait to talk about 8 years ago. Like I was doing this,
yeah,
and that's when it clicked. So
yeah.
want to just say thank you on that. The next thing here is I actually like as you're talking, I'm like, oh, it feels to me like you have four different clients, and I'm gonna put in this with like you have your partners that you're coming in with, right? You have your tutors, right? You have your customers, and I would say the customers are the people who pay. I'm assuming that most of your and then you have your clients who are the actual students themselves. So there's like
Yeah.
four different levels to this year. Is that accurate first and foremost?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Yeah. And so like so as you're talking, I'm like, like I'm seeing the things that like someone might want to try and copy a campaign that you have. I'm like, but you're missing this level of integrity. You're missing this level of authenticity. You're missing like I'm imagining what a parent would be like coming in and being like, okay, my student is having this, and you're like, well, we think about this from an individualized perspective, where we have our ways of creating things, and it may not look like what other people are doing, but like you're here because you want results that other people won't get. So
Yeah.
don't like if you
And
want
the
if you
other
want
things weren't working. I get that all the
yes.
time. I did this, I did this, I did this, and we're the last resort and it works,
Work,
because it's
work.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know all those other methods because I've worked for those methods. I've done those. I've been in the classroom. I've worked for other tutoring companies. I've done all the things and I've seen and taken that and learned from it and
Mhm.
created my own method,
Yes.
that I would say is just different. And
Mhm,
I'm not saying it's better or anything, but everyone is different. And if those didn't work, try this. And
mhm,
it's something it's so different than the rest.
mhm,
Um, and a big part of it goes to kind of back to what you said. It's almost what I live and what I think my tutors live too. It is this, what's the point of learning? What's the point of going to school? I come back to this a lot. Like, what's the point of all this? And I think it really is to just be better people, to live better lives, to be happy. And I'm always thinking of, how do I get there with them? How do I get there with my staff? How do I get there with my partners? How do I get there with my clients and my customers? How do I get there with them? Because that's what I think is the point of all this. It's not to memorize a math equation, it's not to pass a test. That what's the big picture here? And I'm always coming back to trying to make sure I'm getting everybody in that direction, including myself.
mhm. Well, I feel it. I think that it is fantastic here for I want to ask you here. We're asking two questions to wrap us up.
Okay.
The first one is like for any outlier who wants to go deeper down the journey with you. Maybe they look at it and they're like, "Oh, I can see how I might be a competitor. I might be someone that's like not even in your world, but I would love to either partner or come in and tutor or like bring my
Yes.
child." And like, what's the best way for them to go deeper down the journey with you?
Email is great. It's Lindsey at both of the company names. So worldwisetutoring.com and then educateradiateelevate.org. You can go to the websites. It's very easy to find me, get a hold of me, social media. But yes, contact me. Let me know you want to talk. And I am open to kind of whatever your idea is.
Mm, awesome. All right, outliers. Like this is you said something earlier, like, oh, you have to be willing to like think differently, but you also acted differently. So outliers, my invitation is if there's a connection here, like act differently. Reach out to Lindsay and start the conversation. And if it's not for you, if you're not the person, but you know someone who you think would just like really jive or would be invigorated here, my ask of you is to share this episode with them. Let them get a sense of what Lindsay is about, how she shows up, because she does things differently, and then invite them to reach out. All right. Lindsay, it's been a pleasure having you on here. What I'd like to do at the end every single conversation is to put outliers to the side for a bit, and then look at the two of us here. And what I like to do is I feel like every time we have a conversation, the reason for this is that we should be growing, right? You talked about like you love
Yes.
learning, right? And so I would be really curious about something that you learned about yourself or something you like an insight that you got as a result of being here. And if nothing came up, like don't make it up. Like we have the honesty, we have the authenticity, the transparency. Let's not mess with that. But if there is something here that really that you're really like leaving this conversation with, would love to hear. Would you mind sharing?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that you highlighted that you say it and I'm like, oh, yeah. Like I just hadn't thought about it that way.
Mm,
And I appreciate, you highlighting the authenticity. that is something that I think I've thought about, but I hadn't really had a word to go with it. Um, even I'm in a transitory phase with the nonprofit, and I've had a lot of people who've said, wherever you go, I will go, I will follow you. And I didn't really understand what that was, but I think it is a big part of it is the authenticity. They know that I'm being transparent with them, even in this transitory phase. They know I'm going to be clear with them as we go through everything. I'm learning and growing as well alongside of them. And I think that that's a big reason why maybe people are drawn to come with me and to stay with me. And so I want to sit in that and understand that more. And I'm going to explore that a little bit more, what that is, because I've never had someone put it to me that way before. I thought they were just maybe excited about this new approach or whatever it is. But yeah, I think there's something safe about that, of knowing kind of what you see is what you get, or, this person is, you know, fully transparently who they are. I think there is some, I don't know, it feels good probably to then be who you are,
Mhm.
and to be accepted for that. So I'm gonna explore that a little bit more. So thank you for that.
Most certainly, Lindsay. Thank you. Like the thing that I find, I'm like I can't help but like reflect. Like I'm only sharing what you're putting out and how I'm experiencing.
Mm.
Some of these things are so powerful. I'm like, oh, my body's moving. I'm not just listening to hear. There's things going on here. Uh, Lindsay, I am deeply grateful for you. Thank you so much. I am energized, and I actually my insight here is that there are a number of things that I'm on this planet to do, and
Yes.
it may be hard is the word, not the right word actually, but it may not. I mean, I get the feedback that I'm looking for until it
Yeah.
works, and then once it works, oh my goodness, do we get to have
Yeah.
fun and do we get to really really serve out in the world? So thank you
That's
for
how
that.
we grow and that's how we learn.
That's
So
it.
it's this is it. You're on the right path.
It feels great.
When there's resistance and there's challenges, it means you're doing the right thing. You're gonna find the way.
Well, I think that's a perfect way for us to end today. Outliers, like, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. And until the next